Hi, everyone. So we met yesterday, which was Monday, and I read to you from El Ray Jakes is Not a Chicken. And I was explaining to you that we are going to talk about using the author's punctuation, which sounds really stupid. And when I say that, I don't mean stupid. It sounds like a tough thing to respond to, which is tough for an adult, let alone a child. So it says use the author's punctuation and special print to bring the story to life. So unless you're seeing a lot of exclamation points, or I would even say quotes, but quotes are through every book, or maybe even a question would be something specific to how you read. We've already talked about this. We talked about it, if you can recall, when we were reading in the beginning of the year, and we talked about reading the way authors want you to read something by the punctuation, by the text, the bold or not bold, whether it's, remember when it was leaning, sometimes we had to know it was a thought, and then reading those, what are those words? Reading those dialogue tags again. We wrote so many of them on a poster. I wish I brought that poster home, but cried, screamed, whispered, shouted, murmured, right? Mumbled, right? Same idea. So when we read those, and when Mrs. Downer has been reading to you, not just El Ray Jakes, but since I've been home and I've been reading to you, I've had to correct my reading sometimes because of something that came up later in the sentence that told me I was reading it wrong. Like if I didn't shout it, or if I didn't whisper it, or something like that. And I pointed that out, and I'm sure you saw that. Okay? So El Ray Jakes is not a chicken. We're still doing the same exact thing. Yesterday we read chapter 5, and today we're going to read chapter 6. And so yesterday when we read chapter 5, we talked about special print. And right away we can see book, 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 and there it is, right? And it's trying to be, forgive my fingernails, trying to be onomatopoeia. And again, onomatopoeia are those sound words. In this case, that's going to make a sound, right? Something specific. Okay. So we know he's being sort of, well, not sort of, he's being picked on, El Ray, right? And he's in school and he has to make it so that he can go to the amusement park with his father if he doesn't cause any problem. Remember, he wants to keep his nose clean, was the wording. Okay. Buck, buck, buck. Oh, Jared whispers at lunch. Ooh, Jared whispers at lunch. Here he is, finally. Now I want you to look at the print on finally. And Mrs. Dunner is the worst of this, right? There it is. Oh, ooh, there, finally. It's slanted. So notice it's not like here he is, finally. It's here he is, finally. What's the matter, El Ray? Scared to be alone with us? Yeah, Stanley chimes in, his voice soft. Sorry. Yeah, Stanley chimes in, his voice soft. Book, book, book. Buck, 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 sorry. This is his idea of how a chicken talks, I guess, which is just dumb because chickens do not talk. But basically, Stanley is saying that I'm a chicken. So, you know how people do that and spin on commercials and stuff. Shut up, I tell him out of the side of my mouth. I suddenly realize, though, that I'm sitting at the end of the picnic table bench, not somewhere safe in the middle, like between Corey and Kevin, for example, or even between two girls. If girls sat at our table, which they don't lately, or ever since the food fight. But that's a whole different story. Uh-oh, I have made a big mistake. And again, and there's a picture there. Can you see big? Mrs. Downer's got to get better. Oh, there it is. Can you see all those eyes? Big mistake. So there's another text feature I could write down. Okay? Jared makes a knuckly fist and secretly starts twisting it into my ribs, which are still aching from yesterday's knuckle grinding. He smiles at everyone else in a fake friendly way while he is doing it, so they won't know something bad is happening. Stanley stands back and watches the knuckling, and his eyes are nervous and bright behind his smudged glasses. They look even more lizard-like than usual. Every single rib I have on that side burns, and I try not to cringe, but I can feel myself starting to get mad. Okay, when I lose my temper, three things happen. And something I like from this book that El Rey does is he makes a lot of lists. You can see listed the three. Okay, let's go. Number one. First, I can feel all the juices inside my body start racing around really fast. I like the description of the word juices. How about you? Number two, then my heart starts pounding so hard that I can barely hear people talk. Three, and then my hands get clenchy. Orange sparks may fly out of my ears for all I know. Seated across from me, Kevin does not know why I'm leaning over so far. Hey, El Rey, you're going to fall, he says, giving me a friendly smile. And then he goes back to eating his sandwich, a gigantic grinder with pink flaps of meat hanging out. Kevin's hand grips the roll as if it might try to escape from him at any moment. It would if it could. Yeah, stop crowding, El Rey, Jared tells me, giving me an extra hard knuckle twist. Youch, quit it, Jared, I yell. Quit it, Jared, Stanley says in a whiny voice. I gotta do that again. Quit it, Jared, Stanley says in a whiny voice, trying to copy me, even though it ain't really whine. Like I said, I yelled in a manly way. Quit it, Jared. I try to count to 10, which is what my mom says to do when I start to get mad. 1, 2, 3, 4. My lips move a little as I silently run through the numbers. Oh, look, he's going to cry. The little baby's sad, Jared said, sounding happy. And then he throws back his head and gives a famous ha, ha, ha laugh. I'm not crying, I say, trying to get to my feet. I do not want to get in trouble even at lunch because the lunch monitor would tell Miss Sanchez, and then Miss Sanchez would call my parents, and bye-bye Disneyland on Saturday. But do I want to go through the rest of my life saying, bark, bark, bark? No way. And that's it for the chapter. These are short chapters. And I want you to see that you can see the haw haw and the buck buck, right? And there were a lot of things that were giving me, just like yesterday, an idea of how the author wants me to read this. And so when I look at using the author's punctuation in special print to bring things to life, I'm going to pull this off to show you. Just like yesterday, I'm going to go in and I'm going to put the title of my book, El Rey Jakes. You're going to put the title of your book, which is not El Rey, after you read. And then notice where it says, huh, and there's question marks, or then. I will not. Notice how the not, on the side is bigger. Notice crash, that's onomatopoeia, wow. Okay, so I'm going to start with listing my onomatopoeia words. I'm going to write, El Rey Jakes is not a chicken. And then I'm going to say some words I found that were helpful there are like buck, buck, buck. But next to writing, if I write buck, buck, buck here, which is onomatopoeia up there, next to writing that, so Mrs. Dunner can understand what you're reading. And I don't know every book you're reading. You're at home. You're not reading books I've assigned you. So that's the hard part. If you would tell me, if I'm going to write this on my poster, like I said yesterday, I'm going to write buck, buck, buck. Then I'm also going to write, this is the sound that the lizard kid, what's my lizard kid's name, right? Nope, Stanley. This is the sound that Stanley makes that he thinks is like a chicken sound, right? And then if I write, well, shut up was one. But if I write, I was talking about big and put all those I's in there, this is a big mistake. I understand. I'm not just saying, oh, that was a big mistake. I'm saying this is a big mistake. You know how kids are. And we're getting so specific about how the author wants you to understand. He doesn't want to make this big mistake, right? Also, I'm trying to look for I like fake friendly. Fake friendly are just words, but it's like fake dash friendly. It's not something that I would normally see to write. So as soon as it says fake friendly, I recognize, even though you're in second grade, that sometimes you might notice that sometimes people will be nice to you for a specific reason, or pretend or treat you one way in front of adults and treat you another way someplace else. Typically, right, bullies and people who aren't, well, and I hate to say he's always a bully, but typically somebody who would do that behavior and be not nice. And so that will be something that I would also write down today. So that's what you're going to do. So yesterday I read it to you and we did it together. You read your own book. You did it on your own. Today you're watching the video. Now you're going to go in your black and white notebook again, and you're just going to add whatever if it's a new book, you're going to do it for a new book. If it's the same book and you're on a different chapter, you're going to go into the same book on the new chapter and add in what you find. So we're doing the same thing now. So you're doing the same thing you did yesterday with me on Zoom. You're doing today on your own after you read your 45 minutes. All right, I know you can do it, guys. You're doing a great job. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow.